What's going on, guys? It's Nick here from the BI Edge. So today we will be going through a raw video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform some raw data in the form of shape files for the Queensland minerals industry into I'm going to extract, clean, transform, and load and present some visualizations here on the fly. Okay, so this is all off script. I've never done this before. This is just live, and I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys right now. Okay, and I'll just push myself here over here so everyone can see. All right, so straight into it here. I've got the Queensland government spatial catalogue. So this is where I'm going to get my data today. I want to find out where the minerals and the coal-based commodities are across Queensland. So I'm going to hit enter here. Okay. So straight away here, these are files here that I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download these data sets. So to do this, if you want to do it yourself, you would go download data set, enter your email address and hit request download. Now, like previous base videos, I've already done this. So you can just go straight into QGIS, which is the software I'm going to use to convert these shape files here and the metadata into an Excel based workbook with the raw data before transforming in Power Query, cleaning the data set, loading into Power BI, and presenting in the form of visualizations. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring this over here so you can have a look. All right, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring across these downloads that I've just downloaded. So all I have to do here is I just drag and drop. Okay, so I go on the downloads, and from the downloads folder, I drag and drop here into layers in QGIS. Now, QGIS is a free tool for those of you who don't know. It's used a fair bit, sort of in subsurface geologist-based teams. A lot of geophysicists use it as well. Okay, so you'll start to see a little bit of a map of Queensland here as I bring this data across. Okay, so you can sort of see I've brought the data across now, and what I'm going to do is I've got some metadata here. So what I want to do is I'm going to add layers here. Okay, and you can actually see a bit of the coast of Queensland down here. Okay, you can sort of see that's the border and around and up. Okay, so if you're looking at Cairns, you're probably looking at somewhere up here maybe, and then Brisbane down here, and then your sort of your Roma, Emerald region, etc. Okay, so first things first here. What I want to do is I just want to have a bit of a look through this. So I just want to sort of see based on this extracted data, um, I can just click on a certain layer here and I can look at the attributes table. So that first layer there, the areas for minerals, the shape. Okay, it's not giving me a lot of information there, so I'm probably not going to roll with that one there. If I go to the second one here, I'm going to open an attribute table. Again, there's probably not a lot there that's going to be useful. Now, this one here, exploration permits, this is going to be a little bit more useful. So I'm going to open attributes table here. Okay, and I can see that I have the title name here, and these are all the exploration permits for different sort of players within these markets. So we can sort of see the name of the company here at least, and we can sort of see, who's got a renewal lodged, sort of in terms of the permit status, they've all been granted. And they're in the form of exploration permits. So these are the guys exploring in the market. So straight away I go, okay, well, that's probably going to be useful to me. Okay, so what I want to do is open up an Excel workbook here. Okay, and then what I want to do is I'm going to do A, Control C here, and I'm going to come back here and paste this in. Okay, we'll do a Control T. All right, so this one here, we're just going to check the name now. So this is, I'll just close it. Okay, so that's exploration permits there. Okay, so I'm going to call this first sheet here exploration permits. Okay, so exploration permits. All right, next one we are going to do is we're going to have a look at the mineral developments. So open the attribute table again. All right, so if I'm having a look at this now, what sort of mineral developments do we have in Queensland? Having a bit of a look here. Okay, this is good, this one here, because it tells me, is it minerals or is it coal? It sort of tells me what company. So this is something that is going to be useful straight away, just looking at this, because this tells me all the mineral developments across Queensland. Okay, so mineral development licenses, that's going to be something that's going to be useful. So once again, Control A, Control C. I'm going to go back across to my workbook. Okay, and this, I'm going to unwrap text here, Control T. Okay, and that's going to be minerals developments. Okay, so minerals developments there. All right, so I've got two now. Okay, the third one I'm going to look at is, so it's exactly the same as that there. Okay, so um, that would just be a duplicate. That's not worth it. All right, so I'm just going to close that. All right, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as what I need. I've got the exploration permits. I've got the mineral development licenses. They're the main two that I needed. Exploration permits and mineral development licenses. Cool. All right, so I have my workbook now, so I'm just going to quickly save this workbook. All right, and I'm just going to save this just here loosely. Queensland Minerals, we're going to call it. All right, so that's now saved. Beautiful. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up Power BI Desktop. Okay, so I'm going to open up Power BI Desktop and we are going to clean this data and have a bit of a look at what we can find here, okay, for strategic insight for businesses that are looking at, competitors in the minerals industry, or if we're looking at scaling Queensland's coal-based industry. This is all really, I can just discard that one now for now. This is all really important stuff, okay, so I'm just going to start off blank report. Okay, so in Power BI here to bring our data in, we just go to Excel workbook up here. Okay, so all we're doing is we're just bringing in our data. You can also go get data from Excel. That's fine as well. Okay, and I'm just going to go Power BI Queensland Minerals. All right. So now that's coming across. So basically what you just saw is we extracted the shapefile, we moved it into QGIS and turned it into an Excel workbook. Now we're loading that raw data in the Excel workbook into Power BI for some cleaning in Power Query. Okay, so these two, I'm going to bring them both in here. We're going to go transform data. We're going to bring up Power Query here now, and we're going to have a look. So, this isn't really too hard. It's pretty sort of easy data analytics if you know what you're looking for. In this case, we're just sort of going to have a bit of a look. Permit ID, like unless you're working for a business, I wouldn't really worry about that too much. And it wants to know it. So basically, this is the release number, okay, or the title ID number, whatever you want to call it, permit name. Okay, we've got so many null values there that it's nice to know the permit name, but when you got 39% there, I just think, well, we're not going to bother. Okay. And permit type for, okay. And all right, exploration permit minerals other than coal. Yep. And okay, that's the only thing there. Okay. Right. Okay. So these are all exploration permits of minerals other than coal within this particular data set. So none of these are coal, I would say. Yes, these are all minerals based permits, exploration permits. Okay. So I just need to keep that in mind. I'm just going to say all minerals here, just so I don't forget for now. I'll have to rename that data set. Okay, permit next, EPM, no, we don't need that. Permit number, you might need it, but once again, for this particular analysis, I don't think that it's really relevant to what we're doing. So there are some with application here, so permit status that'll need to be there because some have put in the application, some have been granted. Okay, so we do want to see what minerals-based companies in Queensland have granted exploration leases and which ones have just been applications that haven't been granted yet. Okay, so that's the status here next. I can see that already. So that's the status. Okay, we want to keep an eye on these empty rows here. If empty is too high, it's not worth keeping, in my opinion. Okay, so these are the different types of permits for the mines. So that might be important, but for the analysis today, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so we've got lodge date, approval date, and expiry date. Now, lodge date, once again, in business, I'd probably have it there. If I'm sort of working in a business and I want to kind of calculate the rate between lodge date and approval date, then I might keep it. But for this case, just looking at the market to get some insights, I'm not going to worry. All right, so approved date next. Okay, so I'm going to go custom column here. Next, okay, and we're going to use a little bit of M code here. So I'm just going to go approval year. That's the first one that I want to do here. So that's just a date.year. Okay, and that'll come up here. And what I want to do is I'm going to go down to approved date. Okay. And bang, I've got the year right there. Okay, that's what I want. And I want to do the same again for the expiry date. Okay, and I want to get that into years. So that's going to be expiry and year here. Okay, that's just a date.year M code. And we go to expiry date. All right, so expiry date here. I go, okay, year, bang. All right, so now I have the approval year and the expiry year here. So they're the two that I really need here. Now, if I want to sort of, um, you know, kind of want to know months a little bit more, I can go, approval month here, for example. Okay, and then I just go date.month name. Okay, which is this one here. Okay, I have to just backspace that. And okay, open parentheses, and I'm going to go approval date again. Okay, and then I'm going to go okay. And you see I've got the month name here. Okay, so I can look at different months, what leases got, what months in what years were more leases approved, and in what months did more leases expire. Okay, so it's a good one to sort of have. So we're just going to do that one more time here. And I'm going to go expiry year. Okay. Oh, sorry, expiry month. That was expiry month. Okay. And that was just date.month name again. Date.month name. Yep. And down here to expiry date. Okay, cool. Excellent. All right. So now we've got that there as well. Okay. So next, what I'm going to look at, got this and I've got this. Okay. I'm just going to put approved date here. Lock, approved date. Yep. And then the expiry date. Expiry date. Okay. And we'll remove this. Authorized number again. I'm just going to remove that. Okay. So this is going to be the leaseholder. Okay. And then that's just the native title. So that's, that can be important to know, especially for companies. There's a lot of government regulations around Indigenous native titles. So, having a bit of a look here, just a little bit of extra information to probably keep. I'm just going to keep it here because, I see the importance of that. So shape area here next. So it's probably going to be sort of roughly the size of the lease. So I'm just going to call that area there. Okay, and these are going to go. So that could be the blocks there on the area potentially. I'd have to look into that. I'm not 100% sure. All right, and yeah, we've got that. Don't need that. Okay, shape length and shape area again. Yep. All right, so we've got our years here. So what I need, the first problem I see here is I probably want to get this into decimal base numbers. That's okay there for these two for now. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got all this in here now. This is looking pretty good here from exploration permits. It's going to be good enough for an analysis in Power BI. Now, quickly, I'm just going to do mineral developments now. So this here is going to be lease number again, permit name. We've got a few here, but 75% of them are valid, 25% empty. Let's keep them there for now. That's fine. Just making quick calls here, permit numbers. We're not too worried again. Mineral development license. Yeah, okay. So these are all mineral development licenses here. Okay, yeah. Okay, permit status again. Okay, so that's updated status or sort of renewal lodge. I can sort of see there. So I'm just going to look at the information, renewal lodged. Yeah, so it's get renewal question mark. Yep. Type of mine. Okay, so once again, I'm back to the same process again here as far as year goes. So I've just got to try and tap that out as quickly as possible there. That's going to be the leaseholder. Okay, native title. Okay, the division. I'm not too familiar with what that is, so I'm just going to get rid of that for now. Oh, actually, no, that is important, division. So if I want to go back here in Power Query, I just come down here to the right-hand side and I put the column back in. So that means minerals, minerals, coal, minerals. Okay, so it will just tell me minerals or coal. Okay, so that tells me what that column is for there. Okay, so that's the area again. The area, we're probably not going to use too much for this. It's going to be more like just the count of how many of these sort of players in the market sort of leading is sort of what we're going to be looking at. Who's got the most amount of leases? Because that'll tell us, who the big players are in the Queensland market. That's all we're sort of trying to get at today. All right. So that's all there. Okay. And as we can see, we've got this column here and this column here. So I don't need this column anymore because it's got it here. And if I want to bring this across, I just drag it over. Okay, and that's minerals or coal. I'll just go commodity. Yep, so commodity, okay, area, shape area again. Okay, now if I want to get rid of, speed this up a little bit and get rid of multiple rows at once, I would hold down the shift key, come across here, and then go remove columns, okay? Done, bang. All right, so we're just going to do year for these here. So I'm just going to do two quick columns here. So the first one is approval year. Okay, so that's date.year again. So date.year, which is the first one up here. Okay, and then from there, approved date, done. Okay, so instead of doing your date function in sort of in Excel, much quicker in Power Query because all this is all saved. So this will read off my raw data. So when this gets updated and I go back to Queensland Spatial, in the future to add in new data, I can add that to my raw data, come back in here, remove duplicates. This will automatically update and then refresh my Power BI report. And I can constantly keep a bit of an eye here on the market and what the market is doing. Okay. All right. So expiry year here, same again, date dot year. Okay. Cool. Right. So date dot year, and then I'm coming down to expiry date. Okay. Done. So expiry year there, approval year there. Okay. I keep this here for approved date, expiry date, because sometimes this can be good for forecasting. That's why I just keep it in here. Or if you want to come back later and add days of the weeks or months, you can quite easily do that. All right, so now it's just loading through here into um, into Power BI. So doing the load, it's all being cleaned. We can come in and build our dashboard. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I like a nice black background here in Power BI, but you can just choose from a theme here if you like. Okay, that's just a good way when you're starting out, and you want to get a text box going pretty early on in terms of what it actually is. So minerals, we'll call this one minerals, Queensland minerals. So we've got Queensland minerals exploration permits. Yep. Okay, cool. All right, and I'm just going to change the font here and we'll go like 24, center it. Cool, it's there. All right, so now that's there. What I want to do is go effects, background. So I'm going to go black here, transparency. That kind of just changes the color, visual border, rounded corners, width. All right, and down here to the shadow, I'm going to go black. Okay, cool. So Queensland Minerals exploration permits there. Right, so we have our title. So that's cool. We can look at that. So exploration permits. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to sort of start having a bit of a look. Okay, so when we're thinking about years and periods, we always want to try with a line. A line graph is always the best way to sort of measure, the value of something over a period of time. So on the x-axis here, I would go for, let's just go the expiry year because that's always important because it's sort of up and coming. Okay, so I'm going to expiry year. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the count of, we'll go the leaseholder. Okay, cool. All right, so that's come out in a different sort of format there. So straight away, I've got a formatting issue here, and that's because that is a decimal number. So if I go a whole number here, there we go, beautiful. All right, so yeah, sometimes you just have to come in here and change the values because I made a mistake there on Power Query and I put it in a 1.2. I needed a whole number there for years. So it'll be the same here for this. I need to change this here in approval year to a whole number. Okay. I changed that up there and we are now good to go. Cool. All right. So now I can see that this is okay. This is trending upwards. All right. Have a bit of a look there. We can do a quick trend line here, a little forecast down here. Okay. So I can put my 95% confidence interval and sort of see what is going on here. All right. And I can forecast length further. Okay, and what color do I want the forecast line in, etc. Okay, it's probably going to tell me forecast data cannot have empty values. Okay, so I've got some empty values there in my data set that I'll have to remove if I want to forecast, which I could do, but that's going to take me some time. So just for the sake of this, we're not going to worry. We're just going to down visuals next, markers. Okay, we've got the lines on now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a bit of a look here. Okay, so we can sort of see, okay, that's the count. Okay, so there's a lot more leaseholders here in this sector with expiries coming up in 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 here. So that says that a lot of the minerals exploration permits are coming up for renewal. So it'll be interesting to sort of see what the government does there. All right, I've got my background here next. Okay, we're going to go visual border, put some width on it, a bit of shadow, try and make it look a bit more appealing. Okay, now we need to get rid of these grid lines here. So from here, what I want to do is I'm going to go get rid of horizontal and I'm going to get rid of vertical. Okay, so we can sort of see that upward trend there. Now, what I want to do is I want to change this on the y-axis and I'm going to say total leaseholders, total number of leaseholders. Okay, bang, that's there. Okay, and what I need to do now is I need to put a title in this. Okay, so the title here is going to need to be total number of leaseholders by expiry year. That's fine for this. For this, I don't have a lot of time, so that's going to have to be it. Okay, so now I bring this down. Okay, and now I have my first tile here on my dashboard. Okay, so that's kind of how that one works. So next, what I want to do is I'm going to do a bit of a bar chart. Okay, and we're going to have a look at by the leaseholder. Okay, so this is the leaseholder, who's the operator in the Queensland Minerals Exploration Permits based industry. And we're going to have a look at the count of uh, we'll go lease number. So that tells me how many leases that they have. Okay, we'll go like that so I can just read it a little bit better. Okay, so straight away here, I can see that Anglo Gold have the most amount of minerals-based exploration leases here in Queensland, followed by Mount Isa Mines Limited. And then down here, we've got some different ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this out, okay, just so everyone can sort of see full name. All right, and I might just even center that a little bit. No, we'll go here, that's fine. All right, and what we're going to do here is we're going to go total number of leases by operator. Okay, I'm going to center that off. Cool. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to format this a little bit here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to bars here. Okay, we're going to go yellow. Yep, bit of transparency there. Doesn't hurt. Going to go a border just for a bit more of a three-dimensional sort of look there. Data labels are on. Okay, cool. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. That's looking all right. Now I want to get rid of the grid lines again. I'm going to go here to effects, background. All right, transparency, visual border, and we'll chuck a shadow on the back there. All right, cool. So sort of what we have there. So we change this here instead of count, we would go total. Okay, so total lease numbers. All right, it's a bit tough while I'm holding the microphone here, working one-handed. All right, cool. So that's that. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to go, yeah, permit status. Okay, so application and granted. So out of all this, what's application and what is granted? Okay, so I could go down here to filter that out, but, this is always a cost-effective way to go, just up here. I can go application, okay, and what's granted. Okay, so this sort of just tells me here, this is what's sort of been granted. My forecast is working now, so I can see where we're sort of heading with our granted number of leases over the next sort of 15 years or so in terms of expiry. Um, so that's trending up, and then it's going to sort of flatten out, is what this is sort of saying. But it's a pretty big window here. Um, so if I want to look at these guys here, Mount Isa Mines Limited, I can sort of have a bit of an idea as to sort of what's going to happen with their leases by expiry year as time goes on. Okay. All right. So that's that there. Um, all right. So I'll just chuck that in like that for now. All right. So next thing I'm going to look at here that's important is I need the same as this, but I need by approval year because that's also important. So for here, I just do a control C. You can also do a control D. Okay. I grab this. All right. I bring it across. So now I don't have room for this, which I can just bring down here. Okay. And I can bring that across. Okay. And then instead of expiry year here, I would just slot in approval year. This is just my little shortcut to make it a little bit faster. Okay, so we can sort of see the total number of leaseholders by approval year now. Okay, now if I clear that out, we can see that that's also gone up. Okay, so this shows, um, there's big investment here in the Queensland minerals exploration permits in Queensland. If I want to just sort of have a look at who these players are again, we can come down here to, Anglo Gold. How are they going? Okay, that's trended up. So their total number of leases by approval year has increased, and their expiry leases have also increased. So if we look at, you know, they've got 3 here, 11 here expiring, and 27 expiring here in 2029. But, they've sort of had 11 here in 23 that got approved, and then another 26 here in 2024. Okay, so they're sort of, you can see they're a strong player there in the market. These guys here, uh, you know, pretty solid again. They had a big spike here of 17 new leases here in 17, okay, in the mineral space in Queensland. Now, if I want to sort of go down and have a look at, say, like Anglo American, for example, how are they going? Okay, so I can sort of have a bit of a look. Okay, it's trended up here, up here. Okay, obviously I haven't had as many. If I just want to know, see TriStar, see how they're going. Okay, cool. So 6 expiring in 2030, 5 here, because they've got quite a lot of expiring leases here in minerals coming up. Not so much over the next sort of 12 months, but the next sort of 2 to 3 years, and start to sort of crank up a little bit, coming closer to 2030. But they've also brought in a couple 5 new leases there in 2024. Okay. All right. So that's sort of how that one works. Now, if I want to kind of a bit of a further look at this and go into, what the lease number is, that's always pretty sort of important there. I can just throw this in here for now. It's about, we sort of don't have a lot of time here. This is just a bit of a demo video. But, if I want to go a lease and click on a lease, I can sort of see, how many times that lease has been renewed there. Okay, so another way I could sort of do this is I can also go here and I can go to the lease number, I think it is. Yeah, lease number. So I could also put a lease number here in the legend. No, that's not going to work. Um, uh, So if I just want to come back to application one last time here, obviously there's going to be no application here in total number of leaseholders by expiry year and total number of leaseholders by approval year because the lease hasn't actually been approved yet. So if I want to know who is big here in the total number of leases by operator, I can see here that these are the players that have lease applications in the minerals market in Queensland. So Min3 Proprietary Limited, Anglo Gold, Texas Silver, Sunshine, Ravenswood Proprietary Limited, Cornerstone Metals. Okay, and we can sort of see. So Texas silver, for example. Some of these are probably, I guess that might be, they might be mining for silver. I don't know, or it could be, I'm not sure what the commodity is there. But I could work that out here on the next stage. Well, we've got a little bit more information around commodity. So that's kind of the insight there that I can pull very quickly in Power BI, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little run through today. And if you want to see me move through the next data set in this particular video, then comment in the comment section down below and subscribe to the channel. Cheers.